Hey y'all, I'm Chris.
And I'm April. Welcome to the Mac House.
Today we are reflecting on the purchase of our brand new camper and our very first trip with it.
Yep, we're going to talk about the 3 truck stops that we visited along the way and tell you about the biggest mistake that we made when it came to setup.
So, bright and early on Thursday morning, we got up at 3:30 a.m., which by the way is normally the time that I go to bed.
It was very, very early. We left so early to avoid DC traffic, which if you are familiar with the District of Columbia, you will know that morning traffic is awful. So we wanted to avoid that, and we actually ended up being a little bit ahead of schedule, even though we left a little late. Our first stop was in York Springs.
So once we got to York Springs, Pennsylvania, we stopped at a Rutter's, and it was a cute little truck stop, but it had everything we needed immediately upon arrival. I really needed the restroom, so I went into the camper to discover red all over the floor.
Yeah, so I took the dogs to go potty. I got back, I put them in the truck, and then I had to go. I go up to the door and I open it, and he's like on his hands and knees like cleaning up sangria, and I was just like, oh no, this is so bad. But we figured it out. We got it. We went inside to see if they had like a container, which they did. We ended up getting just like a little cooler thing to put like half of the sangria in. But the inside was great. It was very clean. It was easy to get in and out of.
It's very well laid out. The truck lanes for fuel were very easy to get to. Very straightforward. The only complaint that I had is on the truck lanes, there's no pay at the pump. So whether you have cash or the logistics card, you got to go in to prepay.
Yes.
After that, we got back on the road.
For a short time, a very short leg of the trip, to our next stop in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and that was for a good reason. I did not want to stop in New York or New Jersey. So I know for sure in New Jersey, at least with passenger vehicles, they have to pump your gas for you. You can't pump your own gas. So we try to avoid that if we drive through New Jersey. So it's just a short stop, mainly for the dogs to potty. But we stopped at a Trexler Truck Plaza, and that was...
We actually didn't go in on the trip up to Massachusetts. We used the bathroom in the camper.
Yes.
So we didn't bother to go in. It was a small truck stop, not the best layout.
Very full, very packed.
Yes. We headed north through New York, through New Jersey. We wound up going over the new Tappan Zee Bridge, which is named after one of the Comos.
Yes.
Mario, I think. And
it was right after that bridge. That we ran into a little snafu. We're approaching, 2 exits. Or,
It's a Y in the exit ramp.
Yes, a Y in the exit ramp. And we see no trucks. And it says passenger vehicles only. And we're like,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So promptly yank it hard right and go around the other way.
We ended up driving through this little tiny New York town, and it ended up being okay. We got back to, it rerouted us, and we got back to the highway with, not much time missed, but it was still stressful, exciting. Very stressful.
That was kind of a newbie mistake. We couldn't find a good truck routing app
for my phone.
Yeah, so probably before our next trip, we're going to look into a Rand McNally Truckers GPS. I work for a trucking company, work with a lot of drivers, and that seems to be the most popular one. So we will look into that so we can avoid any low bridges.
Yes.
After we made it through New York and New Jersey, which, if you've never been, the roads will beat you to death.
It's terrible.
Yes. And I don't even think if we had a upgraded pin box and airbags and upgraded suspension, it wouldn't matter. They beat you to death.
Yeah, it still would have been a very rough ride, even if we had all of those upgrades. If you feel differently, let us know in the comments, or let us know what interstates or whatever to avoid, because it was not enjoyable at all.
Yes. So eventually we made it to Connecticut.
Yes, to a TA in Milldale, Connecticut.
Yes, and from working road calls for many years in the shop, love TAs. Very, very nice. They're not quite as nice as most of your Loves, but TA is very nice, and that one is as well. We pulled in. We're able to go directly to the truck lanes for fuel.
Yes.
And
to fuel up.
Got it topped off. Pro tip for any of you that get into RVing and go to the truck lanes, please, when you finish fueling, pull up so the next truck can get in there.
Yeah.
Because those guys are making money on this deal. And if you're holding them up, they're not making money.
And the pumps are, they're so big for the big trucks that it took us
it took me
no time.
2.5 minutes to fill my tank. I'm telling you,
So
it was
great.
amazing.
It was great. So, and obviously theirs takes way longer. So just pull up out of the way. It was really full. There were a ton of empty, reserved only spots, but we couldn't find anything free. So we, asked for forgiveness kind of thing. We stole.
For 5 minutes, I backed into a reserve spot.
I mean, it might have been 10 minutes, but we stole a reserve spot for just a short time while the dogs went to the bathroom and we went to the bathroom, and then we
grabbed our lunch.
Yes, we grabbed our lunch out of the refrigerator and hit the road and just ate on the way.
So the last leg of the journey was interesting. Once we got into Connecticut, just before we got into Massachusetts, we met some serious rain.
Yes.
So not only was it trial by fire on the longest trailer I've ever pulled down the road by leaving at night, then we mixed into rain where you could barely see the end of the hood. So it was fun. And then the exit ramp. Oh, the exit ramp.
Our last exit ramp to get off to go to the campground. They were doing construction. It was like a little bridge.
It said no wide loads. And let's just say they weren't kidding.
We had maybe an inch or two on either side, if that.
I don't know.
Whoa.
I was focused straight ahead.
It was so stressful. I will say at one point I was driving just the truck with my mother-in-law, with his mom, on the way back from dinner one night, and I took that exit with just the truck, not pulling anything, and it was terrifying for me. So I can only imagine how stressful that was for him in the driver's seat.
White knuckle experience is an understatement.
Oh man, it was
it was almost a check your drawers moment. So, anyway, we finally make it through the exit.
Yes.
And then it's a roundy round. It's the
weirdest
weirdest roundy round I've ever seen.
It was a big roundy round though, so it wasn't difficult to get through.
So from there, it was, I believe, 11 miles from the interstate to our campground, and it was a straight shot. You go up Greenfield Mountain and past Shelburne Falls, and then, boom, past the Little Red Schoolhouse, which we will show you in an upcoming video, and there's the campground.
Yes.
We pulled in, put our masks on, and we checked in. Very nice campground. Review to come.
We didn't have far to drive into the campground to get to our little spot.
And we'll talk a little bit more about the campground in an upcoming video. Now, once we got there,
we were battling rain.
Rain was a-coming.
Yes.
And we were trying to get set up as quickly as possible so we could get the dogs out of the truck, get settled in. So we show up, and we've purchased so many things that I forgot we had some things. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, I have nothing to put under the landing legs. We're just going to
drop them and go. Newbie mistake number 1 before you unhitch is manually dropping the legs all the way to the ground. Don't do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
I every other trailer I've ever messed with that's had those has not had to be leveled for any reason.
Right.
So I would just drop it all the way down to the ground, and then it's less you have to run the electric motor or crank by hand. So that's what I did. Mistake number 1.
Yes.
We got unhooked, found that it would not level itself. We had errors and all this and that.
It was trying to pick up the back tires because the front was so high that the back was trying to go up to level it. So instead, what we should have done is drop it maybe 4 or 6 holes, you know, from its all the way up position, and then use the buttons on our Lippert auto level system to meet the ground before we unhitch. And then so it has plenty of room to go down in the front so that it's not trying to pick up the back wheels. But during that, before we had the blocks, I was concerned. I was like, is it going to sink in the mud? Are we going to have issues? We had issues either way, if we're being honest, even with the blocks. But I was trying to stay calm, and he was getting very frustrated. And then I was very concerned about the fact that the auto level was failing, and he was like, F it, let's just, you know, make do with it the way it is. And I was like, I don't want to mess up the slides from it being not level. And you said something about wood, so, you know, it was stressful. It was a stressful day. We were up early. We were traveling, you know, a very, very, very long time. He was obviously much more tired because he had driven the entire time. But, you know, we got through it. Yeah. And we got leveled. We figured out a way to make it work.
The biggest thing is remembering you love your partner.
Yes.
And I'm not proud of what I said, but I was tired. You know, and that's the thing. Should we have tried to do some kind of a trip? Yes, but there wasn't time. That was close by, so that we could get these out of the way and not be quite so tired. Yeah, but it is what it is. And on our next trip, I'm going to shoot a video that actually shows leveling it correctly instead of making the mistake that we made.
Yes.
That'll be in a few videos, but you know, that way you avoid the same mistakes that we did.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, go ahead and like this video and subscribe for more.
And in the next 2 videos, we're going to review the Country Air Campground, and then we're going to talk about why we were in the area and what you can do in and around Shelburne Falls.